We love horror movies from the 70s and 80s, and we watch them for 2 days straight, and then we go write a book. Now we're looking back at every title, one at a time, in this podcast that we put out monthly. Once we've had an episode for every movie, it's time to meet up for another Shock Marathon. The red record button is red, which means we are indeed recording another episode of the Shock Marathons podcast. I am Matt Farley here with Tom Scalzo.
Hello.
And Charlie Roxburgh.
Greetings.
We're talking about Snowbeast, made for TV. Is it 1977, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe so.
1977. And it starts with the sound of harsh wind. A little over the top with the harsh wind, if you ask me. And we look at...
Ominous.
Ominous.
Mm-hmm.
We get to look at snowy mountains, snowy trees, with some opening credits. And then we get a brief glimpse of Snowbeast's hand with some scary music that gets cut off awkwardly, which happens so frequently, perhaps most famously in The Pit, that opening scene where it just stops and gets happy. But it's remarkable, Charlie, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know exactly why. I don't know if it was done because it was easier to do it quickly, or they made a last-minute change.
Right.
Or they thought it would be jarring and good. Either way, it's kind of fun, and it's sort of become a tradition of that sort of movie. You know,
we
it's
did it
almost like an error. Yeah, but we like it.
Yeah, we like it a lot. But it seems like after it's all been edited, then they're like, no, wait, actually, let's do this, and then they're forced because the mix has already been mixed. They just have to go with it.
Right.
So now we get to see some happy skiers skiing. And a couple of ladies. One of them's wearing a yellow snowsuit.
A vision in yellow. I mean, it's beautiful. The snow gear in this movie is frequently applauded and commented on, and it really makes you feel like, wow, they were having fun back then with those colors and those outfits.
Yeah, they went all out. The style over substance. These outfits in the 70s. Let's listen to them discuss whether they should keep on skiing. One of them, I forget her name. Is it Betty or something, maybe? Betty Ann? Is that right, Charlie?
There's Heidi. She's the one who's scared and wants to go away.
Okay, Heidi wants to go away, and the girl in yellow wants to keep on skiing, which turns out to be a bad decision. Let's listen to them discuss it, though.
Hey, Jennifer. Look at these. Some joker. Snowshoes from some mail-order novelty house.
I love how she writes it off. Like, that's a very specific thing. Like, some joker.
I've seen those footprints before.
She's like an amateur debunker in her off-screen life.
Like in the middle of the woods of nowhere, like, oh, I'm sure those footprints aren't natural. No way.
The chances that Joker would have been able to know that these girls were going to ski down this one random, out of the way path.
Yeah,
before they got covered up.
The potential payoff on that prank is unlikely. Unlikely. So the frightened friend, one of them is Jennifer. The yellow suit's Jennifer, right?
Jennifer's the one who suffers a bad turn of fate here.
So anyway, the frightened friend has had enough. She just leaves, and Jennifer stays long enough to be attacked by Snowbeast off camera. So that happens, and now we're back at the ski lodge, and the loudspeaker features the old grandmother. Hello, everybody. I'm Mrs. Carrie Rill, as you probably know. It's like, what do you mean, as you probably know? Like, you run a ski lodge. Like, what?
Yeah. There's like kids shoving hot dogs. Kids shoving hot dogs in their mouth, and like, lady, I'm not even listening to you.
No.
Yeah.
She goes on for a while to discuss that it's the 50th anniversary of the lodge. It's a big deal. Now, Tom, tell me if you noticed this. It seemed that this is all being spoken into a microphone over speakers. And then
it seems that we catch the end of the speech with her being surrounded by people, but she's not speaking into a microphone. Did you get that, Tom?
Yeah, yes, I did. It's marvelous. There's another movie that does a similar thing, and I can't recall what it is, but this movie does not quite this dramatically, but a couple of times in this movie they have a conversation that ends, in a completely different location from where it began, and there's no break.
It immediately picks up.
I love it.
Yeah, that's often like I think here is a style thing. Another, it's almost always a style thing. It can't happen by accident, really.
Well, this one I don't know. It's like pick a side. Like just don't put reverb on her voice. Don't put reverb on her voice, or have her holding a microphone. But whatever. So she's, it turns out this whole speech was just given, on outside the
like 3 people in the
but they're jovial.
Actually, it's a few more than 3 people. It's a pretty impressive crowd that anyone would sit through this boring speech, and then they just start cheering her so much. It's like, how excited are you about this, people? This is crazy.
When the Snow Queen arrives, it is like the happiest ski village on earth right there. That little cluster of people is overjoyed.
Oh, man.
Okay, so then we meet Tony. He's the grandson of Mrs. Rill. She's only 65. He looks about 40, so I don't know what's going on, but we'll let it go. He's summoned out to search for the skier in the yellow suit. As he leaves, Mrs. Rill jokes to some friends. He thinks that because he's my grandson, he can treat me like I'm his grandmother. So that's that. Oh my God, that hurts.
Yeah, it's not funny. It also makes me think, and maybe it made the characters think, what does she mean by that? Does she mean that I'm famous in like this snow ski lodge and he shouldn't treat me like that? Or
it's a good question. Yeah, it means nothing. It means nothing.
It's almost like a weird hint that like she wants to prove that she's still young and like in the game or something, and it's weird.
Right.
You're right. She wants to prove she's still got it. Still got it, and by it is the ability to run a ski lodge. So let's listen to Tony talk with. We think her name is maybe Heidi. She's the survivor who abandoned her friend Jennifer in the woods to die. Let's listen to it.
Heidi? Heidi, can you explain to me exactly
You won't believe me either. Nobody will ever believe me.
Well, what's more important, finding your friend or trying to convince us that there's some kind of monster out there?
There is. I saw its footprints. I heard it. And it's got Jennifer. And all anybody's doing around here is staring at me like I'm crazy.
Nobody thinks you're crazy. The problem is the patrolmen haven't been able to find Jennifer yet. In fact, they can't even find your tracks. So you're going to have to get a hold of yourself and take us back out there again.
I'm not going back. Please, don't ask me to. Please, I can't.
She can't be bothered. She can't be bothered to help them find her poor friend who may or may not be alive.
Just throws it in terror.
And she's accusing them of not doing anything. Like, why are you standing around looking at me like I'm crazy? Well, you're not telling us where to go, girl. Although Tony kind of, he gets on my nerves sometimes. Here, he's a little too patronizing for my taste. But anyway,
I enjoy the back and forth though. It's fun.
I do, but yeah.
I wanted to play even more of that, but I have a lot of clips to play you.
The music cue was a dream. A dream.
So she gives them general directions. It's out past an old barn, and that's good enough for Tony. He directs his assistants to take her to the lodge and to keep quiet about all this. We can't frighten the customers. Tony and 3 others wander the slopes looking for Jennifer. Tony finds pieces of the yellow snowsuit, and then he hears a monster's roar. So that's pretty exciting. A lot of skiing shots in this movie, huh, Charlie?
Indeed. It's almost like Slash Dreams and a couple other nature 70s movies where there's just a lot of shots of stuff. Like, go out and just get some stuff. Go film some stuff. Second unit, just like, I want the trees. I want like a bird frolicking, whatever you can get. Extras drinking hot cocoa, and then people skiing. But I was gonna say also that I found it a little annoying here when Tony hears the beast, because they show him looking up, right?
Uh-huh.
And they show a wide shot where you clearly see the beast behind the tree. But he doesn't stop turning his head left and right. So in the editing and in the directing, I wanted him to stop, look, and then we see the beast, and we're like, okay, Tony has seen the beast. But the way that they did it made it seem like he heard something, and we're not sure if he actually saw it, because hearing it is one thing, but hearing it and seeing a giant white beast, it's a whole other level of like freaking out that he would have to do, because he's like, I saw a Bigfoot, it was right there.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of key stuff that happens off camera, which you have to then figure out after the fact. And also, like, they clearly didn't have much of a Snowbeast costume to work with, because you almost never see anything but his hands, right?
In a way,
Couple shots, but didn't you? It's like, oh, it's point of view. It's all point of view Snowbeast, and we see his claw. It's ridiculous. Like, let's see this thing. Anyway, let's listen to Gar as my favorite character. Gar, the former Olympic gold medal winner. He's coming. He needs a job, the poor guy, So he's coming. He's just showing up at the ski lodge with his stuff. I'm not sure what's going on, because his wife has a job back wherever they came from. But it seems like they're moving to the ski lodge so Gar can get a job. Like, I don't know how close it is to Ellen's work, but it seems like they're just up. They're just picking up and moving, right, Tom?
That's what it seems like, and it doesn't seem like this job that Gar is going for is going to be
very lucrative.
That lucrative.
Yeah,
it's like for a couple of weeks, and then they're done.
Yeah, and like, is she just quitting her job in TV news, Charlie?
Well, she does mention that she's on. She only gets 2 weeks of vacation a year, and then she also does these roving reporter kind of gigs.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
freelance.
she has to go into the same place all the time. Yeah, like when she investigated the Bigfoot thing, she had to go to Pacific Northwest and do some stuff.
True.
So yeah, we don't know all the ins and outs of Ellen's work, though I wish we did.
Yeah, me too. Let's listen to how the fans treat the hero, Gar.
I gave my father one at the '68 Winter Olympics, but then when you won that gold medal, he sold it.
He did? What did he get for it?
Don't tell him. Let him keep his illusions.
Thank you. Will you be staying for the whole Winter Carnival?
I think so.
That's just great. Well, thank you.
It's a good moment. It's a little less exciting than I remember. What were you saying, Tom?
I love the vibe. It's like surreal how happy everyone here is. Like that confrontation right there it's like dreamland, like happiness. It's like, oh gee, mister, you're so swell, and everyone's so happy, like, to hear, the announcement from Caryville. Like, it's everybody is on another level of happiness.
Totally. No kid would even know an old skier, probably. Like, regular kids would just be like, barely, maybe I heard of you.
Yeah, an Olympic winner from 10 years ago. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Good point, Tom. And I think also it's just 0 to 60 with marital strife in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Because
they stepped out of the car, they walked 10 feet, and she's getting her digs in. She doesn't want him to have his moment.
Yeah, it's so weird. And then he turns to her and says, well, it's nice to feel wanted somewhere. And like, whoa.
And we as the viewers are like, whoa, what did I get into here? I'm watching a movie about an ice yeti, and all of a sudden it's tons of strife.
So
that's great.
So then they get into the lodge, and Tony's dealing with this Snowbeast situation. Gar catches his eye and is like, "Hey, Tony!" And Tony just barely gives him a wave and then goes into the office. And Gar's nervous, and let's listen to him discuss it with his wife Ellen.
I don't think he recognized us.
I think he did.
Perhaps he's got something more important to do right now.
No. Good old Tony knows I'm going to ask him for a job.
How could he know that? He hasn't heard from you in ages.
Well, you were right. Coming up here was a dumb idea.
I never said it was a dumb idea. I just said you might be better off looking for work outside the ski business.
This is all I know how to do.
You know what I think, Gar? You don't really want a job. This is just an excuse to back out and still feel right about it.
Heavy stuff. So Gar, now I before the show started, I brought up whether Gar is an American or Scottish or something. I did hear a little Scottish accent there. Did you, Charlie?
Slightly, yeah. I don't know. I mean, did they say he won the medal for the Americans? They said that 25% of the population watched, and then he won the medal, but I don't remember specifics.
Yeah. It's interesting. And then how is he friend? What's he doing in America? How is he friends with Tony? All that junk. A lot of questions, Charlie.
Just a quick comment, but when she's describing like they're complaining about the job and his like negativity, it reminds me of this part in The Room when Lisa says something to the effect of, my mother's right. The computer business is just too competitive. Something like that. When he complains, when Gar says, no, he knows I'm here for a job. It reminded me exactly of that.
Yeah, like how could he possibly know that? He's just like, oh, there's my old friend Gar. Must be coming for a job, And it's just such a funny concept, to work in skiing, like it's such you don't think of it as a big industry really so much. You just like minimum wage jobs, like operating the ski lift or whatever. But what a weird scenario. Like it just, of all the reasons to get Gar in there, it's just a weird one. Like I'm okay with a marital strife, but I don't understand what's going on. That this is like their ticket out somehow.
Well, just to be fair to the movie a little bit, ex-pros in a lot of sports like tennis or golf or something low, they go and he was going to be the head of the ski program, like teaching.
Guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give it to you. All right.
Yeah.
Now.
And I think in terms of location, just before we get off, I think it's possibly supposed to be Canada.
Okay. That's interesting.
It felt like, because they kept saying it wasn't the Pacific Northwest, and I don't think it's New York. It's like there's not a lot of places in the States that you would have this kind of a...
I imagine Colorado, but...
Where they were, and they do show the city on the side of the truck sometimes.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's Colorado then.
Rockies, yeah.
All right, so now, meanwhile, Tony's in the office talking to his grandmother, and I really enjoy listening to these two talk, so let's do that.
This wasn't an animal. And it wasn't human either.
Well, it certainly narrows it down. Did the other men see it?
I don't think so.
You didn't ask them?
If they'd have seen it, they'd have told me.
They thought Heidi was imagining things. They couldn't possibly think that of you. One word from you, it'd be all over town in a minute. Oh, it's a fine time to have a panic just before our winter carnival.
I'm not hiding anything. I didn't tell the men because I wanted to get them out of the area as quick as I could.
Not because you have a vested interest in the future of this resort.
Grandma, I'm going to try to spell it out for you very...
We're going to listen to more, but it's like, there's so much going on here. Like, I don't even know what side either of them are on, Charlie.
I got 2 words for you guys. Laval blessing. This guy's acting at this point is exactly the way Laval, in a bad acting, pouty way, yells at his underlings.
He's not like this anywhere else in the movie either. Just this one scene. But like
just this one scene, yeah. It's like it was his first day of ever acting.
And Grandma is like simultaneously wanting to cover up and also like mocking him for wanting to cover up, it seems. You know what I'm saying, Tom?
Yeah, it's very confusing. I don't know what she wants. But I love the yelling. I love that there's a winter carnival that concerns about it take precedence over everything.
Yeah, it's like our apple bobbing festival, Charlie.
She says this winter carnival is the thing that keeps people coming back all year.
Yeah.
I watched that first time through, it just passed through my ears. The second time I was like, what does that mean? Why would I come there in the summer when there's no snow just because you have this winter event? Does the vague memory of it make me so happy that in July I want to go there and be like, this is where it happened.
Yes.
This is where the Winter Queen walked and where Gar gave her tiara.
That's exactly why.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense, especially in a seasonal activity.
Let's listen to more of this fantastic back and forth.
There's something very strange and very dangerous out there. And if I thought it would stay up there, fine. We could designate the area avalanche prone and just seal it off.
Well, if it were going to come any nearer, wouldn't it have done so by now?
What do you base that on? You don't know anything about it. I mean, you don't know how long it's been up there. When it got there, it could have got there last night.
Just in time for the winter carnival.
What are you being so facetious about?
Now that you say it, all I can hear is Laval when he talks now, Charlie.
It's so true. I wish I knew that exact line, but there's parts where he's like, why don't you guys get the magic paraphernalia? You gotta focus your energies. He yells at his people in the same way.
There aren't any zoos or, what does he say? That there aren't any zoos or insane asylums?
Carnivals around here.
Yeah.
Okay, so they decide they're going to designate the area as restricted. Grandma pressures him into keeping quiet about it. Tony comes out and he formally greets Gar and Ellen. He tells Ellen that he's forgotten how beautiful she is. Gar confesses that he needs a job. Not anymore, you don't, says Tony. So that's great news. But we have established that Tony and Ellen had a relationship, but she ultimately chose Gar. And Tony's not very subtle about it. He's just, out there, kissing her and hugging her and telling her she's beautiful and asking why she chose Gar.
And he's straight up like staring at her. And Gar is just sitting there like he's not even part of the table or the group.
Yeah, I love Gar because he's such a big dopey idiot. It's delightful. Oh.
It endears us to him, I think, that he's not freaking out. It's almost it's refreshing and nice.
He's just resigned to the fact that his wife doesn't like him, and she seems to like his friend still. He's fine with it. All right,
Tom, what was Tom gonna say?
I just wanted to mention before that previous scene when Tony was talking to his grandmother, and he said, like, if I knew that the creature would stay within a restricted area, we could just cordon it off.
Yeah.
And think about it, like, it does. They go after it.
That's
like,
a good
it
point.
never actually leaves that area. If they just didn't go there, it would've been fine.
That's true.
Yeah, he's only near the barn. Although he does come to town during the
eventually, because he's
true.
mad, but
he's been annoyed into it.
It's just they didn't have to. They could have just said, this area's off limits. Just go about your business.
It's quite true.
But no.
Speaking of which, one of Tony's workers reports that Heidi's been given tranquilizers to put her out because she was hysterical. He offers to search the area. Tony says he just needs to put signs that say it's restricted. Now
That's an order.
And it seems that he ignores these directions immediately. Is that right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't even hide it. He just turns around, jumps on,
does what he wants to. Yeah.
Gone. Yeah.
And we get to watch him skiing a lot. Then he hears the beast, and then he skis some more. Then he falls down. He's clinging on this little ledge that seems like they were just trying to angle the camera in such a way that made a slight hill look steep, and they didn't quite get it right. And then the hand of Snowbeast just kind of engulfs the guy's skull, and then freeze frame, fade to red. This guy is finished. Meanwhile, a man and a kid are by the barn. The kid returns from inside the barn. He's upset. He tells his dad to go look what's inside, and we see a bloody arm and a yellow snowsuit. Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
So, Tom, Snowbeast is, dropping his victims off in this barn, right?
Correct. And it took me a minute, but that guy and his son, the guy is maintenance worker Ben Cochran, who had been sent to do the signs by that other guy.
Oh, interesting.
It's very subtle, but that's what this guy is. That's why he's there. He's the maintenance guy. He's supposed to be putting up signs.
Why'd he bring his
people
kid?
not to go there. Why'd he bring his kid? I don't know.
Get a ride on the snowmobile or something. Yeah. Do you guys take it that Snowbeast is storing his food there?
Yeah,
like, that's
yeah.
like his fridge. Okay.
That's what they
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
right? At one point, they even say it.
They hint at that, yeah.
I wonder why. I guess it's just it just is. But I mean, there's no specific reason why Snowbeast couldn't just keep them up where he is, or just eat more of it right then, like while it's fresh. That's okay.
Yeah, we have no answer for that question, but it's a good one.
But the Snowbeast is more of a slasher killer than most other
Animal.
Bigfoot,
Yeah, you're right.
you know.
Totally. And there's not a ton of he's just a peaceful nature creature. There's a little bit of it with Gar, but on the whole there's usually more of it. Like don't kill this beast. They're kind of like, "Hey, he hurt somebody. Let's get him."
Yeah. Yeah. Tony tries to speak to the sheriff, but the sheriff is called away because of the body being found at the barn, so that's put on hold. Which means Tony has time to meet Ellen for lunch, which is really good stuff, and we're going to listen to some of it right now.
Favor. But he told me he had a hard time getting you up here. How come?
Well, I only get 2 weeks off a year, you know, and I had my heart set on a warm climate. And
Okay, I know we talked about it, but I'm so confused. What is he coming to work there permanently or just for 2 weeks? Don't answer because we don't know, but anyway.
I was afraid of seeing you again. After all this time, everything we had.
What did you think would happen?
I don't know. I've been having a lot of fantasies about you for the last year.
Fantasies about me? Good or bad?
Not bad. A friend of mine, a doctor, said that when a woman starts having fantasies about the man she didn't marry, she's not getting enough realities from the man she did.
Oh, what a line.
So 70s. It's really nice.
Yeah, very analysts and whatnot. Yeah, that is a great line. I want to put that on a bumper sticker, you know?
And the way she tosses it in, she's like, "Friend of mine, a doctor." It's either supernatural or that she forgot the way the script was written and tried to like tuck that line in.
So that's good stuff right there. I really like that. She goes on to talk about how her job in TV is exciting, but meanwhile, Gar is just living in the past. She's got to come home and deal with him. He's unemployed. He used to be a superstar, and not anymore. You know marriage can survive a lot of things, but it can't survive a lack of respect, and I've lost about all the respect I ever had for him, she says. So
Ouch.
Tony hugs her and kisses her and says, "You need someone to say he loves you." And I do, you know, I always have. Gar witnessed the hug and kiss. He comes to sit with Tony, and their conversation is interrupted by Grandma, so they agree to meet again in the pool. But like you said, Charlie, Gar, he's not too unhappy about the kiss.
No, it's kind of nice. It's unique in a way. It actually perks up the movie because you're kind of like, okay, this is a little different than what I expected. I like it. And you're getting to their meeting here, right? And we're gonna talk robes and terry cloth and stuff like
Glorious,
that. Okay,
glorious
good.
moments.
Okay, good.
Meanwhile, at the barn, the boy is in shock and needs to be carried home. The sheriff looks into the snowy landscape and wonders what could have happened. So now we're back at the pool where Gar and Tony are discussing the possibility of Bigfoot, and let's listen to some of that because it is.
But wait. Can we set the scene though? I mean,
okay.
You can't just gloss over the fact that they're hanging out in the lodge, you know, maybe having some coffee, and then all of a sudden they're just in like a sauna together for no reason.
Well,
it could have been.
It's really the next cut that's more jarring because at least they said let's meet at the pool. After when Grandma showed up, they said let's meet at the pool. So now this is the meeting. But then what's really amazing is the conversation just continues but changes locations. But we'll get there.
I think the grandma was getting in the way. That's why she said, "Tony, I need you," because she knew Tony was going to start talking Bigfoot to Gar.
It was deliberate.
So he's like, "Meet me at the pool in an hour," because she's always, you know, poking her nose into things, and she wants Winter Carnival to go off without a hitch.
And it wasn't human either.
And now you find that your too rational and too realistic to allow yourself to believe it was something else. Is that it?
A little bit of all that.
And that's why you hired me to go out and blow its brains out, right?
That's why you hired me? Yeah, Gar, I knew you were going to show up out of nowhere looking for a job on the, minutes after I discovered this beast. That is completely insane. Am I right? All right.
It's insane, and it's not funny, and it's not like on purpose insane. I think the script was just off. It's like almost as if chunks were taken out of the movie at that point.
Let's hear more. I love that moment, though. It just does not. It's all logic out the window.
Talk about friendship. Give it something else.
I didn't give you a job as a hired killer, Gar.
Okay, so now they're in the new location. They're in robes now inside, and he's essentially answered the statement that Gar made however many minutes ago when they're in the pool.
Of course not.
Marvelous.
You were only thinking of this town that you love so very much.
You're damn right I am. That thing is dangerous, Gar.
Thing. Just because it doesn't look like you or me makes it a thing. And then it's...
That's good.
Now he's like personally insulted that the Snowbeast was called a thing. There's so many emotions going on. I got more to play, but I just had to...
And he's not a naturalist or a scientist. That's the great thing, too. He's just a sensitive skier.
to go out and kill it in cold blood, right? And how do you know it's dangerous? Everyone who's ever been in contact with one says exactly the same thing. It stares at you for a few seconds, and then it disappears again into the wilderness.
Except when it feels like carrying off a young girl.
That story turned out to be a hoax.
I'm not talking about that story. I'm talking about one of our guests. I found her jacket the other day. It looked like it'd been ripped off her body and it was blood-stained, and I believe that thing killed her.
Oh, it is so Laval, Charlie. You've made this movie better for me. Thank you.
Yeah, and Tony is just ensconced in terry cloth there. He is like royalty. He's got this towel bunched up around his neck. It's just so poofy and huge. And then he's got this huge plush robe pulled over. They're just like manly men. It could be a 70s commercial for an aftershave or something. These two guys just hanging out. And I gotta say, this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. Just getting ready for the mission kind of thing, and talking Bigfoot.
Yeah, I love it. It's really fun. Yeah, I like how Gar is a Bigfoot sympathizer. It's fun stuff. So now we watch Ellen skiing for a while. She happens upon the commotion at the barn. She's got a good nose for a story, as we all know. And she notices some footprints in the snow, so you know that the gears are turning in her head. She's thinking about this. Meanwhile, Gar and Tony take snowmobiles out to do some investigating. They're headed for the barn. We get to see Ellen investigate more. Then we see Tony and Gar arriving. The sheriff asks if Tony can identify her. Tony says he might be able to when he sees her face, but she doesn't have a face. And I don't know what's going on here. It seems like Tony's being a little bit elusive with the, like he doesn't want to show his hands to the sheriff. Am I right, Charlie?
Yeah, that's what they're kind of hinting at. But, and the sheriff is kind of like, you didn't show the torn jacket? And he's like, I left it there as a marker. And it's not clear. It doesn't really feel, nor is Tony's intent to really cover things up so much. He tried to go to the sheriff right away. It's more just kind of confusing here.
Yeah, it's just confusing. Like they don't quite, like the motivation of Tony for all this is not clear. But hey, what are you gonna do? So now we get to see Ellen. She goes to the spot where the hill that's not really, like the steep cliff that's not really steep. She gets there and she hears a howl. She's fearless, she'll do anything for a good story. So she continues to investigate. And now there's more talk between the sheriff and Tony, and I'm going to let you listen to it right here.
Well, I can certainly understand your grandmother not wanting any of this to get out. She may be right about it being a grizzly. Winter attacks are not all that rare,
Cole, it's not a grizzly.
What do you think it is?
Gar thinks it's one of those legendary creatures called Bigfoot.
That's right.
The legends I've heard about Bigfoot put him pretty firmly in the Pacific Northwest.
Not necessarily, Sheriff. Ellen tells me there are hundreds of them roaming around all over the country.
Ellen?
Oh, my wife. She's a TV journalist, and a while back she did a special on the Bigfoot controversy.
Did they settle anything?
Nah, not what you, a sheriff, would consider hard evidence. But she did run across a couple of interesting points. She went up to Washington State and met with an anthropologist. He showed her, I think she said 150 photographs, hand and footprints of so-called Bigfoots. Now, if you want to know more about it, I suggest you go and talk to Ellen.
I could listen to this didactic dialogue all day long. I
love it.
I really enjoy this stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
By regular movie standards, it's like maybe 3 times too long.
Oh,
and slow. But by our standards, I'm like, this is it. This
I'm on
is
the
stuff.
edge of my seat. Yeah, keep talking, you guys. Just keep talking around in circles and like leaving out information just for the sake of being able to clarify it a little bit later, you know, like, oh, you need to talk to Ellen. Ellen? Oh, yes, my wife. You know, like,
what's her job? Oh, that sheriff has this sing-song way of speaking, and it's sort of also like a radio DJ or something. Like, I'll be taking you through the midnight hour tonight on the airwaves. He poses like a model, like a straight-up model.
Yeah. So, what else is happening? Ellen is skiing around, and she falls down in the snow with this. I think, I don't even know. She's more skiing. Just every once in a while, we cut back to her skiing.
A vision in purple. She's just with this beautiful crocheted hat.
Yes.
Oh,
it's a nice suit.
It's very impressive.
The sheriff conspires with the guys to make the official story. Everyone's always like lying about what's happening. But he conspires with the guys to make the official story that it was a grizzly bear attack. They plan to go kill the Snowbeast tomorrow. Just the 3 of them. Even Gar is in on it. He's now anti-Bigfoot after seeing the remains of the lovely Jennifer in the barn, which is good. I'm glad, like, it instantly he's like, no, let's kill it. Who cares? It's not.
He's super reasonable. Yeah. It's awesome. That part of the movie is really unique. I don't even know if they intended it as such, but that is possible that a guy would be like, you know what? Bigfoot's peaceful. Don't hurt him. And then they see a young girl who was killed and like, you know what? He's not peaceful.
Let's
kill him. And it happened in a day or day and a half for Gar.
Yeah. All right. So, and then Ellen once again is being stalked by Snowbeast. Now we're at the school gymnasium. It's part of the town's winter carnival. Lots of happy people helping to set up. The band is rehearsing. But from outside, Snowbeast, in a point of view shot, is approaching the building. Grandma greets Betty Jo. That's Betty. She's the Snow Festival queen. She tells Betty to smile, but instead she has a look of horror because Betty can see Snowbeast through the window. Everybody freaks out. The beast smashes through a car window, attacking a woman behind the wheel. It's total chaos. Grandma goes down, and through this all, what is she most concerned about, Charlie?
The tiara, the precious tiara.
It's like the crown. And then as she's calling out to the crown, someone steps on it and destroys it. And like, I don't know what the movie's trying to say about that either. Is it a sad thing that it happened, or is Grandma shallow? I don't know what they're trying to say, but it's hilarious that this is her main concern. Charlie.
With Bigfoot at the window, it's shades of Bigfoot watching the pantsuit girl dance,
God. Yes.
right?
In Capture of Bigfoot, yeah.
Capture Bigfoot, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an easy way to film, a shot. Like, here's a window and he's peeking through.
And we don't need the rest of his body. Yeah, just his head.
What were you gonna say, Tom?
I was just gonna say there's a lot of interesting parallels with that movie. That it's like that movie's so much kinder like the Bigfoot in that movie is just a victim the whole time, and in this one it's really mean the whole time. Like it's a totally different take on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad. Like it's almost cliche at this point that the beast is actually, actually means well and should be sympathized with. I'm glad that it's just an evil beast. I like that. It's fun stuff.
Yeah.
So now the officers are dealing with the aftermath of this invasion, and we get to hear some of them discuss the huge mess and wonder how it'll be reported, which is like a nice little bonus of some random characters. Yeah, Charlie?
Just one quick thing. This movie is super fast paced. Super fast. If you stopped and went to go get some popcorn, you could have missed this entire Bigfoot attack. And you would have had to say, hey, wait, what just happened, guys? They'd be like, oh, yeah, Bigfoot came to the window, killed a girl in a van. Everyone ran out. Grandma was taken to the hospital. Now the police are trying to figure it out. And then they just killed a grizzly off camera. The grizzly turned out to not be the beast. And that would be all that happened in that minute and a half. Like, I was making notes about, like, oh, this happens at this minute and this minute. There's other parts where it drags, but there's some major plot parts, like the craziness at the carnival. It happens quickly. You do not see a lot of that carnival. Yeah. And the carnage is quick. And then the bear incident with the hunt for it and whatever, and the finding of the, but do they even show a carcass? They barely show a carcass of the bear. It's going like this very at this point, though.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like kind of dramatic. They show it, and then it's like, oh wait, you don't know if what you're supposed to be seeing. It's so fast. Really.
Yeah, and then they buffer it with extended skiing scenes.
Exactly. Right. So I know that some people might say this movie's slow because parts of it are the extended skiing, but there's other plot stuff that's just like, it's just going, and you don't even really, they don't draw out like the bear story with like newspapers covering it, like Jaws. Everything is like Jaws in this, obviously. But I felt like right around there, I was like, wow, this is going pretty quickly. And then before you know it, they're deciding to form the task force.
Let's listen to Grandma on the stretcher.
Gar. What? Please tell Tony I'm sorry. He was right. I should have let him report it. But we had to have our winter carnival. It was our 50th.
I guarantee you, it'll continue for the next 50 years. Now, you take care of yourself, all right? And then I'll take care of this one. Take care.
She had the crown on her head. I just noticed watching it here that he takes it off the stretcher and says, I'll take care of this for you, too. So her priorities are all messed up, this old lady, but what are you going to do? So now Gar returns to his room. He sees a set of skis and has a flashback to his glory days. He hasn't worn any skis since '68 when he was a star. Now, how long has Ellen been gone? And is anyone aware that, I guess Gar's aware that she's missing, Tom?
I don't think he's concerned yet, though. It doesn't seem like it.
So
it's like almost the nighttime, right?
It is nighttime, and it seems like he's just going out for a pleasure ski. But then when he finds her, did he change his mind and be like, "Oh yeah, I was actually searching for you," or is he?
I don't think he was searching for her.
I think he was searching for her.
But they don't sell it well at all.
No.
They do not.
No, they don't sell it well. But he goes back to the cabin, and they don't sell it well, and she's not there, and he sees the skis resting there, and he thinks the only way I can go out and look for her now is to put them skis on, and then he does so. But you just have to infer a lot and watch the movie a few times.
He should have talked to Tony and said, "Hey, I don't know where Ellen is," and Tony's like, "Well, last I saw her, she was going skiing." And then Gar decides to put the skis on. That's all it would have taken, but we'll let it go. It's better to be confusing. So, Charlie, you're an expert. Major day for night going on there with, like, the moon is so strong in the background, right?
Yes.
It's clearly the sun. It's clearly the sun that they're trying to sell as the moon, right?
Mm-hmm. And I love the 70s so much, and I'm so comfortable with it.
You're fine.
Not only does it not bother me, I kind of prefer it.
So now Ellen is sleeping in the barn for some reason. Like, what happened with? I think she just decided, like, she was searching Bigfoot so long that it got dark, and she just went to sleep in the barn, I guess. She's awoken by a noise, and it's Gar, and he's her hero again, right, Tom? Like, this is reestablishing their love.
Yeah, this is it. This is what she's been waiting for. Now she has respect for him again. He builds a fire, takes care of her.
She's so demanding.
It's magical.
Sheesh. I mean, he's a gold medal winner. I mean, that should be enough. That should so be enough. Their marriage is saved. She's proud of him again. She's sorry she let them drift apart. She should have been there when he needed her all these years, Charlie.
And, Gar's saying here, I hadn't been on those skis in so long. And I'm just thinking, dude, okay, if you don't want to be in the public eye, don't compete in any more things. That's fine.
Yeah.
Go skiing like in your own private area just for the heck of it.
Well, let's listen.
So many.
Let's listen to Gar explain it himself, and we can maybe he can convince you, Charlie.
Okay.
If you hadn't gotten lost, I would never have had good enough a reason to get back on my skis again.
When he said that, I was like, wait, you just went skiing because it was a nice night. You didn't think of her. I guess you're right, Charlie. That's why he went out there. But boy, they failed.
Right.
How was it?
I stood on top of this mountain, looked down, and I saw myself, instead of flying down, I was falling down, completely out of control. But once I got skiing, it was great.
Now, mind you, it was great. You're searching for your wife who could be dead, Gar, and you're just having the time of your life.
Yeah.
It was really great.
He's so good. He's so good.
I should have told you a long time ago why I never skied after 68. I think it's because I saw too many champions become has-beens. I didn't want to be a has-been.
So Charlie would have interjected and be like, well, you don't have to compete, but I mean, if you enjoy skiing, Gar, just do it. But that makes too much sense. He goes on to say that he thought that never skiing again would be a way to stay on top, but it didn't work. Things don't happen that way. Ellen confesses that she's also afraid of failure. They kiss by the fire in the barn, and it's beautiful. Next morning, Gar and Ellen are still snuggling in the barn as a helicopter is out there, presumably searching for them, Tom?
I don't know at this point what's going on. It seems like the night before, they kind of had a plan, for trying to hunt down the beast. But then, then the whole attack happened, and then the bear killing happened, and then Ellen was still out. I don't know where Tony is. Like, I don't know. Everything got totally crazy over that night.
Yeah. And Tony, it's his job. He has no good excuse that I can remember to not be involved in all these scenes. It's like he just wasn't available for filming for a couple days.
Yeah.
So they finally they get up to leave, and they have to deal with the Snowbeast. Some guys arrive on snowmobiles. It's Tony and two officers. The sheriff spots the Snowbeast as he's wandering up the hill, and Tony's happily reunited with Gar and Ellen at the barn. Meanwhile, the lodge is like a ghost town on the outside, at least. The ski lift is off. There's a small group of people that are holding a funeral at the ski lodge for the guy who got his head crushed earlier.
Oh, really?
Remember that? What is going on? They're having a ceremony. I'm pretty sure are they burying him in the snow, Tom?
I don't remember that.
But I mean, wait, did I see a different version? Grandma's there with her arm in a sling. They're having a service on the slope for the dead guy. Charlie?
I don't remember that part.
Whoa. Wow.
There's different versions of this movie, and there's a tangled web of distribution, I think.
Well, I witnessed a scene. Listeners, let us know if you've watched Snowbeast. Do you recall a funeral on the slopes? Because I swear I saw it.
Changes everything.
Word gets out that the sheriff got the beast in the off-screen hunt. Shot him right between the eyes. Everyone is happy and exuberant. It was a ghost town moments ago, but now everyone's around cheering. But Tony, Ellen, and Gar, they know better. It isn't this little bear. Now, they show the bear. It's like this tiny little cub, it seems, Charlie.
Yeah, it's unconvincing. The whole thing is you never really see a good wide shot. You barely see you get a glimpse of the animal, and
you're like, no way that little thing is guilty.
Anyone would buy that. Yeah, it doesn't work. The public wouldn't buy that.
So now we're in town. It's presumably the next day. Gar and Ellen suggest to the sheriff, that they should cut open the bear. And they should have even said, like they do in Jaws.
Right.
Looking for proof that it had eaten the dead people. Or is the winter carnival too important? Let's listen to some of this conversation, which is another just like kind of boring and explicative. Is that the right word? Explicative, Tom? Explication? Whatever it is. But there's a lot of that, and it's fun to listen to, though.
Winter carnival.
Look, Mrs. Seberg, what is it that I'm going to warn the people against? A man-beast legend whose very existence is hotly disputed?
Disputed by whom?
Well, by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, for one. I wouldn't know this, but I talked to Washington this morning, and they said that they don't have one piece of evidence, nothing they've seen or heard that would stand up under scientific scrutiny, unquote. Now, is that what you want me to warn the people against? Can you honestly expect them to believe it? Now, an unseasonal bear is one thing, but a legend is, well, just that, a legend.
Bigfoot has been sighted in the Northwest for the last 150 years. There are verified recordings of attacks. I had a man on my television show just recently who swears he threw a rock at one and it ran away. But I don't think what we've seen is Bigfoot. I don't think it's as simple as that.
I agree.
Let me just interject to say, thank God they stopped walking. There's so much like squeaky footsteps to get in the way of the dialogue. It's rough, but I love the scene, and I'm gonna make you listen to more of it.
There have been enough happenings around here. All it takes is one person who doesn't believe it was a bear, and you'll have a stampede on your hands.
That's just the point. I don't want these hills full of people shooting at each other. Now, you don't believe it was that bear, do you?
No, it was not a bear.
What do you think it was?
I don't know. A mutant of some kind. Something left over from the last ice age. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's still out there. And it's a killer.
What do you suggest we do?
What you told my husband we should do in the first place. But this time, let's really do it.
That's right. And you can count on me, Sheriff.
What you're saying is you want us to go up there, just the two of us, and destroy this thing.
That's right.
Just the three of us.
Yeah, Ellen, that's right. You're joining them. And then the next cut, Tony, in yet another one of your moments, Tom, where Tony wasn't even there for the conversation, but he, instant cut to Tony's there, and he says, what's he say, Tom?
Such a Tom moment.
Just the four of us.
That's right.
High five.
That's painful, but in a mostly good way. So yeah. Tony says just the four of us. Charlie.
How about when Ellen says, disputed by whom? Disputed by everyone in the country. There's like a very, very small percentage who says they believe in Bigfoot. Everyone else disputes with them. And in fact, just by the nature of their two viewpoints, they're all disputing.
Yeah, and she just did a report on it, so she should know it's been disputed. You know, she's like, she's been reporting on it very recently.
I love though that the sheriff quotes the Army Corps of Engineers.
He's got that.
He had that fact quite ready, and he's like, I just got off the phone with Washington. So like, he picks up the phone in his little town. Hello, Washington. I got a Bigfoot question for you. Can we get some facts here?
All right. So now we get lots of snowmobile shots, and then Tony suggests that they call it a day, return to the camper. Meanwhile, Snowbeast is walking around the camper. he tears the ski hole. Okay, now he's just toying with them. He like the ski holder in the back of the camper. He like rips it off and drops the skis on the ground. And then he runs back.
Totally disorganizes their skiing equipment.
He's like,
it's jumbled now.
Take that, guys. So when they find that the skis have been torn down, they immediately know Snowbeast did it. He's been here, you know. It's time to sit back and wait his return, they decide. So Ellen goes to prepare dinner. Tony goes in to tell her that her eyes are bluer than they used to be. Then he asks why she chose Gar over Tony. She explains that Gar needed her more. They declare that they are friends, and she kisses him. If I were Gar, I'm just saying maybe, hey, how about Ellen is my partner, and Tony can partner up with the sheriff? How about that? Gar is so understanding of this. It's fantastic. So now night falls, and it's morning. Gar comes out to check on Tony and Ellen, who presumably have been standing out there for 8 hours. Charlie, is that what they've been doing?
I suppose they've got these 2-person shifts, and they're just keeping watch. Yeah.
Yep.
Then what do you got?
Just standing there. Yeah, they could have easily, taken like 2-hour shifts and split it up. But
it feels like Gar got a
like
really
you
good
get
rest.
the night.
It's supposed to be ramping up to this big finish. It's supposed to be like Jaws going out in the boat, the guys to do it, and it sort of falls apart here at the end. Even though it got a little bit of action, you're just kind of like, Beast is milling around. They're milling around. They're like, hey, you want to just chill in the RV and wait till the Beast comes here? They're like, all right, you cook dinner. We're gonna go stand over here, and then like we'll wake up.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. Maybe the Beast will mill around.
It's losing focus. Then Snowbeast finds a pile of logs that are like directly above on the hill, directly above them, conveniently, and he hits something to make them all roll down the hill and knock over the trailer. The sheriff is hurt.
It's like the Ewoks had been there earlier and set up a nice little trap.
He's hurt and pretty much left for dead without too much investigating. They're like, just leave him. Let's go. It's fine. Just go. So now the 3 of them are wandering out in the woods. So they've run out into the woods, and so it's Gar, Tony, and Ellen, and let's hear them discuss their situation.
All right, let's slow down. It's not chasing us anymore. It got what it wants.
It got what it wants. They're giving Snowbeast a lot of like personality.
I know.
Well, he's no longer killing just to eat. That last attack wasn't mindless. That was a planned counterattack.
We're not going to get very far walking. The barn's down here. Let's head for it.
Hey.
I love how he said, let's head for it. Like the way he says that, that's like so unnatural.
It's so weird. Yeah.
That's not a very good idea.
Why not?
Because that's where he's been stashing his food. Can you imagine us being there when he shows up?
Now, it's already lost 2 from there. If he's as smart as you think he is, he won't come back to the barn again. Let's go.
The whole point of going up there is to run into him so you could kill him.
All right. So
I love it. It's like, there's no way he'll go back to the barn. Let's go. Conversation over.
Yeah.
Okay, so now they're in the barn. Tony offers to go out there alone, but Ellen and Gar insist that they stick together. Now the plan is to go back to the trailer. So it's just going, like Charlie said, it's just chaos and back and forth.
It's like the room scene with the 2 parties. Hey, everybody, let's go outside. And they're outside on the deck. They're like, hey, let's go back inside.
That's quite right. Ellen crawls into the trailer and finds the skis. And now, look, I don't know if it drove you guys as nuts as it drove me, but like, what is Gar's accent? And first off, where do you guys think he's from, Tom?
I was thinking Canada. That's what I was thinking.
You think he's a Canadian, a native Canadian? Charlie?
Scandinavian.
You think he's Scandinavian? I think he's from from Colorado, but his accent fluctuates throughout the movie, and here it's the most Scandinavian, I'd say.
Ellen, look at the closet. The rabbits may be there.
He sounds like a leprechaun right there. I don't know what's going on. I'd like to know. It's like he's Irish, but trying to do an American accent and forgetting quite frequently. But we'll let it go. Snowbeast is coming for them just as Tony finds a gun. He hits Snowbeast. He throws the gun right at Gar and tells him to go finish him off. In a way that made me think Snowbeast was like down on the ground and just needed to be shot, but we never see Snowbeast, so it's hard to tell. But it turns out he's been running away, so we get to watch them chasing after him. And now Tony and Ellen catch up. Tony's got a shotgun, lots of skiing and whatnot. And then we see Snowbeast, and he is magnificent. I would have liked to see him more. Gar shoots him several times, but it doesn't stop him. Who wants to describe Gar's ski pole technique of killing him? You got it, Charlie.
Okay. Well, first off, of course, he's not supernatural. He's a natural world beast. They fire a lot of shots at him, right?
It should have killed
close.
him. Yeah.
It's just like kids playing cops and robbers or something. I don't know. Should have hit him. Nothing seems to take any effect. They just didn't want to do the squib effects probably. But so Gar grabs one of the ski poles and he thinks his genius move, correct me if I'm wrong, is to wedge it against the RV, right? And that like sturdiness creates this unbeatable weapon that the beast lunges into. Yeah. And because it's symbolic that the great skier can use his Excalibur of sorts to defeat the monster, now all is right with the world.
Yeah, it's symbolic and in a beautiful moment and ridiculous. Like you'd think the beast would just like step a little bit to the left and not walk right into the sharp object. But hey, and then the beast falls down the cliff. What do you got, Tom?
Yeah, it just hurts a little bit that it's just beast POV. Like you see this big sharp thing sticking out of a tree, and he just runs right toward it.
It's a little confusing. Yeah, it's confusingly done.
They were clearly having issues with the costume. They could only do so much with it, apparently, or who knows what the problem was. But, you title a movie Snowbeast, you want to see him more than 15 seconds. But luckily, Gar and Tony and Ellen make up for the lack of Snowbeast with their great dialogue and their drama and whatnot. It's a pretty darn good movie, made for TV. It doesn't have the greatness of like Deathstalk, but it's still a solid movie, and Gar's a great character, so I like it. Charlie,
it's unceremonious at the end, don't you get? I mean, they kill him. There's no like standing over the body where they're kind of like this mythical beast. He didn't belong in our world, or there's no really that. Or Gar, you did it. It's kind of like maybe he's dead later. And then they're just gone. Yeah, they just walk away. It must have been the runtime on the TV movie was up.
Yeah, and they couldn't possibly part with any skiing scenes.
Yeah,
to make up for it. What do you think, Tom? You're a fan?
Oh yeah, I enjoy it. It's very fun. I mean, there's some slow parts, but even the slow parts are fun. Just the characters are ridiculous. The soap opera quality of the love triangle, getting in the pool together and then lounging with the robes on. It's just so fun.
Yeah, very soap opera. You're absolutely right. And I love the soap opera moments are my favorite parts by far. Charlie?
Yeah. I mean, there's more characterization than you would, and maybe almost too much. And that's kind of what we look for. So it's good. And I've heard people say that they think this is a great background movie. You can totally have it on and just kind of, no one's going to hate it. It's pleasant.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's 1977. made for TV. It looks it, like Charlie said, with a day for night, which he appreciates, and the 70s snowsuit style and the hairdos and the talk too, some of the dialogue too. But it's perfect 70s. It's a great time capsule. Shock memories, Tom, you have any?
I really just remembered Gar, but not really any particulars about him. Just the name Gar, and that he was kind of big.
Yeah.
But it was amazing rewatching it. How many fun moments there really were.
Me too. I only remembered Gar and happily, and I wasn't disappointed. I still like him. He's a great character. Charlie, what do you got?
I remembered the love triangle, and which is of course involving Gar and Gar just as a great character. And we nominated Gar for Worst Life Circumstances.
Yeah, he's got it tough. He does.
Yeah, we nominated Snowbeast as Best Monster. Probably just because there weren't that many other monsters in in that pool there, and then nominated for Best Picture. So it got our respect the first time out. We have a big soft spot for TV horror though, so that's probably why. Didn't it have a lot of Ants feel to you guys? I mean, you had the older lady who owned the place. You had her younger relative who was trying to run it. You had a couple peripheral characters. This didn't have as many like kids who were or teens or 20s people, but very similar feel, and all those adults trying to rally together to deal with something that was gonna bother a tourist area.
Yeah, Ants is much better though. I just gotta say, there's more. The snow setting can kind of wear on you. There's just so much white. It's just all this just whiteness and whatnot, So. But it's a pretty solid movie, and it really comes down to Gar and Tony. And the more, just this time through talking about it, I like Tony a little bit more now that he's essentially Laval. The way he's yelling everything, I didn't notice it till now, Charlie. So thank you.
Yeah, and I watched it on Amazon Prime, and I typed it in, and I was like, okay, it came up I think 3 instances of Snowbeast with 3 different covers. One of them was just. It was one of the like public domain generic things. It was just like a photo of a grayish black thing with white text that said Snowbeast.
Nice.
So I looked it up and I was like, yeah, this movie is public domain. It has that infamous error of when they released it, they didn't put the proper copyright mark on it. And I guess once it showed, immediately the people who look for those kind of things to pounce on and just put it out there, put it out. So that's why it's on all those box sets, which is where we watched it, Tom, off one of your
that's what I have, yeah.
It's on multiple VHS, DVD-R releases. It's everywhere. It's on YouTube. It's archive.org. It's like, I don't know how at that late date, especially after I think the same exact thing happened with Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
That they didn't put the proper paperwork or the copyright on the print, and then it became public domain. To make a freaking movie which takes so long, fly all those people out to Colorado, get the writer of Psycho to write this script, the director of many TV comedy, to direct it, and then not copyright it. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, I mean, they were thinking short term. They're like, they can make the initial money off the TV screening, and then it'll go away forever. Was probably their thought process,
I guess so, but it's free to just put the mark on there. As far as I know, I really wish I knew an expert in the field.
There's got to be more to it than just the mark. There's whatever I don't know. I'd have to look into it.
I want to know. Someone should contact us, and if they know more than I do. But I have a sneaking suspicion it could be something as simple as just the mark, because I know in Night of the Living Dead, when they changed the title, they cut out the frame that had the original Night of the Flesh Eaters or whatever it was called, and they put in a new title. And the company that made the new title, Night of the Living Dead, didn't know to put the copyright thing on there, and that caused a lot of the problems, according to one article I read.
Interesting.
Yeah, and the rules have changed since then, of course, but now it's copyrighted the second you make anything.
Right. Yeah. Well, good thing they changed the rule because it's logical, and I support that. And I think a big
Yeah.
copyright rule changed in 1978, so Snowbeast might have been one of the last ones to sneak through there. But on the flip side, in terms of immortality, Snowbeast is much better known today than it would be otherwise if that copyright had been held, because there's no other reason to put it on, to release it so much, except that it's free. So so go check out Snowbeast. You can see it anywhere you want because it's everywhere due to this this loophole. And unless you guys have anything to add, I think we're done. You guys good?
No, I'm happy. That was a fun one.
Fun one.
Very fun.
Till next month. This is Matt saying goodnight for Tom and Charlie. Tom and Charlie. Tom and Charlie. Tom and Charlie.